Good morning, Algebra 1. This is Semester 2, Apex Chapter 5, Section 3, so 5.3. In our last lesson, we talked about how to graph quantitative data. So now we're going to talk about what these graphs can tell us. So every time we graph quantitative data, the graph will give us an approximate shape. We can estimate this shape by sketching a curve above the data. So, our last problem for the last one looked like this, okay? So when we sketch that curve, it tells us four shapes that we're going to talk about. Okay? So the first one is going to be symmetrical. So this is usually a single peak, okay? Peak distribution that looks like a mound. So both sides look about the same distance from the mode, okay, or the peak. So it would look, something like that. Okay. Right, positively skewed, the distribution has the peak or majority of values to the left and the tail to the right. Okay, so it will look kind of like that one we just did where it goes like that. Left or negatively skewed, the distribution has the peak or majority values to the right and the tail that goes to the left. So this one will look like that. And then uniform or symmetrical, there are no major peaks and the distribution curve looks like a flat line. So this one, there may be some small little things going on, but it's not actually, so that wasn't very flat, should be going straight across, but it's not actually peaking anywhere. And we're going to look at some of these, some graphs, and we're going to decide whether they are negatively skewed, positively skewed, okay, or symmetrical or uniform. Okay, so right is positively skewed, okay, left is negatively skewed. Okay. All right, so sample A. So let's look at these three. Okay. So if I'm looking at these three and I'm drawing, okay, a little mound over them, I want to look at how these look. Now, this last one's a little bit different because it's a box plot. So here, I'm looking for, is this pretty much in the center? Is it to the left or is it to the right? Okay, and I mean, really, I could do it this way too. Okay. That would be fine. Okay, so the shape of all three of these is symmetrical. So the next one, we draw it like this. And the same thing here, we could do it that way. Or we could do it this way. Okay. And we'll see that all of these tails go to the right, which means it is right or positively skewed. So the next one. So these just have little tails, but they do have tails that go to the left. And so these are going to be left or negatively skewed. Negatively, not skewed. All right. So when we look at these graphs, we can tell which measure of center is better to use because sometimes median is better, sometimes mean is better. Okay, so if your distribution is skewed, okay, either right or left, you are going to want to use the median. If your distribution is symmetric or uniform, then you can use the mean or the average. And in a perfectly symmetric distribution, the mean will be equal to the median. Okay, so the mean equals the median, and that's perfectly symmetrical. Things usually aren't perfectly symmetrical, but if it's close to symmetrical, then those values are going to be relatively close. Okay? In a positively skewed distribution, so here, our mean is going to be larger than the median. So mean is greater than the median, because the majority of the numbers might be over here and our median is going to be somewhere here. Okay, so our mean is going to be larger than the median. In a negatively skewed distribution, the mean will be smaller than the median. Okay, so let's look at a couple of things. And we're just going to tell which way this is skewed and which way we're going to want to, which measure we're going to want to use. So here, oh, and which measure of center is larger. So here, this one right here is drawn like this. It's kind of hard to see because it's, you know, laying on its side. But if I flipped it up and made it like a dot plot, okay, anything with a 3, right, would be here. Anything with a, so that's a 3, 0. So 3, 6, right, would be here. And then that 4 would be there. Okay, or I could write my numbers out. Okay, and you can see that this is right skewed. Okay, and remember, if it's skewed, we want to use the median. Okay, so that's which one we would want to use. And if it's right skewed, okay, then the mean will be larger than the median. So the mean is larger than the median. So let's take a look at this one. So this one, if you look at it, it's pretty symmetrical. Okay? It's not too off. So it's symmetrical. And we would use the mean. And here the mean is pretty close to equal to the median. So we're going to talk a little bit more about how these are larger and smaller. We've already gone over it, but it's really important. So the tail is going to pull the mean in the same direction. Okay, so if the tail is going right, your mean is going to go right and get larger. If your tail is going left, your mean is going to go left and get smaller. And that's a good way to remember which one is larger, the mean or the median. Okay. So in a right skewed distribution, the mean is larger than the median. But in a left skewed distribution, the median is larger than the mean. And remember, in a symmetric one, they are approximately or about the same. So we can also use the relationship between mean and median to determine if the distribution is skewed and in what direction. So here it tells us the mean is 14.1 and the median is 17. So our mean is less than our median, which means that the mean has been pulled to the left, so it's left skewed. That's what it's asking. What is the shape? So for this next one, it says the mean is 170.5 and our median is 120. So our mean is greater than our median, which means our tail, our mean has been pulled to the right, which means it is right or positively skewed. If I had one that was like a mean of 168.5 and a median of 100 and I don't know, 170, right? Those are pretty close to the same, or 168.9 or 169. So that would be symmetrical or flat. Okay. Or uniform, which is flat. Okay. So that is all for 5.3. We're just talking about the way these graphs look. And then we're going to start talking about tables in 5.4. So I will see you all next time.